those stories tonight on Business Nation. From CNBC headquarters, here's Chief Correspondent David Faber.
Good evening and welcome to Business Nation. As the price of oil climbs into territory once thought unimaginable, no industry is feeling the pressure more than the nation's airlines, and none more so than the world's largest, American Airlines. American will spend more than $10 billion this year on jet fuel, a cost so staggering it's forcing the company to raise fares, ground planes, lay off workers, and go to extraordinary lengths to save fuel. Tyler Matheson reports on a company and an industry in crisis.
We now return to Business Nation. Once again, David Faber.
We turn now to one of the most powerful media moguls of our time, a man known to the business community simply as Sumner. As chairman of both CBS and Viacom, Sumner Redstone is as busy as ever. In a 50-year career that's seen its share of confrontations, rivalries, and multi-billion-dollar deals, he's almost always gotten his way, and he isn't done yet. At 85 years of age, Sumner Redstone isn't even thinking about retirement.
We now return to Business Nation. Once again, David Faber.
As the world's attention turns to Beijing and the upcoming Olympics, we turn to a company going for the gold. McDonald's. It is a key sponsor of the Summer Games, a crowning touch to its global strategy, which is to blanket China much as it has the U.S. itself. As Carl Quintanilla first reported last year, McDonald's has overcome vast cultural differences to win over a country hungry for American fast food.
Now, our monthly feature, How I Made My Millions. Once again, David Faber.
If you've ever tried giving up cookies as part of a diet, you know how hard that can be. Well, the man you're about to meet shares your pain. And now he shares his pleasure in tonight's edition of How I Made My Millions. That's Dennis Neal with One Man's Opinion. And that's it for tonight's edition of Business Nation. For additional video and a lot more on tonight's stories, visit our website, businessnation.cnbc.com. I'm David Faber. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.
This is big. Join me, Carl Quintanilla, for an unprecedented look at the company you think you know.
Andrew Foster, Acting Chief Investment Officer and Portfolio Manager with Matthews Asia Funds. Great to see you, Andrew.
Great to see you too, Trish. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for being here. Okay, and Andy Bush, of course. Andrew, right now, I mean, you heard what Erin was saying about this huge consumer base. She talked about the middle class being 300 million strong. Is that really the key right now to India's future? The fact that so many people are out there and they need to buy stuff?
I think it is, if your horizon is long enough. I think it's the emergence of that middle class that is the most important secular trend that investors should pay attention to over a longer horizon. We at Matthews focus on that longer horizon, and we're investing accordingly. That said, I think India's near-term outlook is a bit more rocky. It's been a very choppy market year to date. There are a number of headwinds the market is facing, not least inflation and a very rapidly rising government deficit problem. And between those two things, I think the near-term outlook is much more rocky. But for investors who can look through that sort of volatility, that longer-term trend is a very solid and tangible one in which to invest.
Okay. Andy, I want to ask you about that deficit, because how does that affect investors? I mean, if you're looking to put money into the country, say you want to start up a business there or help aid a business, how does the deficit affect your decision?
Well, you know, when I was looking at this and doing the research on it, I wrote down infrastructure.
The whole credit story, the Brazilian stock market is up nearly 600% in the last decade. For more on how you can profit from this sizzling market, we are joined right now by Christopher Garman, Eurasia Group Director and practice practice head for Latin America. Is that right? Did I get that right?
That's right.
Okay, all right. Also, we've got Jeffrey Dennis. He's Citi's Latin American equity strategist, and of course, Andy Bush here for the whole hour. So I'm really curious to see your thoughts. I mean, I have some impressions myself, having just been there. But is this very much still an opportunity, given that we've already seen a huge run-up, both last year in the stock market, up 44%, and this year so far up about 15%? Let me throw that at you, Christopher.
I think so. You know, I mean, evidently, you know, we're a political risk consulting firm, so we do tend to, you know, focus our analysis more on the politics ends. But, you know, we've been structurally bullish on Brazil for quite some time because, you know, while on the one hand Brazil has benefited from favorable international economic conditions.
More now on the investing climate and opportunities in developed Europe. Joining us, we have Audrey Kaplan, a five-star fund manager at Federated Investors. Great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Also, Chad Deakins, President and Chief Investment Officer at Certium Asset Management. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Trish.
And Andy Bush. Audrey, I'll begin with you. You heard what Steve was saying in terms of George Soros and him saying that there could be tougher times ahead for Europe. Do you agree with that? And if so, how does an investor look at this region?
In Eurozone economies, actually, right now, we rate in over 6 continents and more than 40 countries. We rate countries, and amongst our top 10, 8 of them are.
That's it for this edition of The Call Going Global. I hope you received some good investment advice. I'm Trish Regan. Don't forget to watch The Call with my co-anchors, Melissa Francis and Dylan Radigan, every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, only on CNBC. Have a nice holiday. Welcome back to The Call Going Global, where we are telling you the best places to invest around the world. Now, in the last half hour, we talked about China, we spoke about India and Brazil. In this half hour, we're going to look at Western Europe, and we're going to look at Russia. And while Russia might seem like the wild, wild west, there are lots of places to make money there. And if you have the stomach, we're going to show you around the world where the extreme investments are, with extreme opportunities, only on The Call Going Global. We want to begin with Western Europe.